Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this week's Cruiserweight Classic review. This is the week I've been waiting for, Zack Sabre Jr. and I thought it was fascinating. He didn't show us loads, he showed us enough. The crowd weren't into it, and this is really a problem with this technical style, is that it's all little movements. A lot of the time it's all, twisting of the wrists, and that is so difficult for a live crowd to see and pick up on and appreciate. I just don't know how you present this technical style to a live crowd and bring them along in the story. I also think that Tyson Dux didn't sell some of the moves correctly. He needed to be screaming in pain. There's no point Zack Sabre putting you in this hellacious submission hold. If Tyson's just going to lie there and try and escape and look like he's struggling, and he should be screaming. The man should be screaming in pain. It should be, that all of this is potentially building up to Kota Ibushi, who makes it through on the right-hand side of the bracket, who can just kick like a beast. He brings strikes, he's ferocious, he's fast-paced. He brings that. But then you've got the submission, technical, intricate, will tie you up in knots, will make you scream in pain. Zack Sabre Jr. It's the brute force kicking style, high flying style against the more mat-based, just brutal holds and just blood-curdling kind of screaming in agony technical wizard that is Zack Sabre Jr. That is what all of this should be building towards, and I didn't get that from this match. It was a good match. I mean, like, to hear Daniel Bryan swooning like he did, he was full on. He was going gaga, wasn't he? He really was just going crazy for some of the moves that he was seeing out of Zack Sabre, and some of the escapology that he was applying, being able to get out of some of the moves. I've got a few things written down. So Tyson Dux was 38, he was Canadian, had worked in the WWE, and for me, that was a nice kind of thing that they did, was that they said that he'd worked in WWE as enhancement talent, and then had got an injury and so was trying to get redemption. Zack Sabre, obviously only 28, has never been in WWE before, and from England, and he one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, and so you've got this kind of up and coming guy who's being heralded as the next big thing going up against this guy that's just looking for that one last chance. So I thought they were able to tell a story quite quickly. But that doesn't mean that Tyson Dux shouldn't have been selling a little bit more for Zack Sabre. Collar and elbow tie up to start, an ankle lock, beautiful ankle lock from Zack Sabre, which was actually reversed into another ankle lock by Tyson Dux. Real back and forth, and Dux looked good. They really were 50-50 in some of this stuff. European uppercuts from Zack Sabre, one off the second rope, was really one of the first times that the match started to get a bit of energy about it. And then there was running uppercuts and a Pele kick. There was a slap from Zack Sabre, but that was into a fisherman buster by Tyson Dux. It looked like a Black Widow. I don't think that they were calling it that though. And again, they were bending the wrist back as he had this hold applied. Zack Sabre had it on, and he's bending that wrist back, and it's like the commentators are really pointing these things out. I think Muro and Daniel are just going to be critical to the success of Zack Sabre Jr. because they need to tell you exactly what is going on, and they do a fantastic job. There's moves in this which I just don't. There's a move here, right? This is how Zack Sabre wins. He wins with a Kimura lock, right, which transitions into a body lock, which then transitions into a omoplata, right? And during that hold, he starts bending the wrists back, and it's also that Tyson Dux can't reach the ropes. A Kimura into body lock into omoplata is nothing. I have never said that in any review video ever. This guy was a surgeon, and Daniel pointed it out how Zack Sabre was going from arm to leg to arm to head to arm. He was just working all of the limbs, and then he would give you uppercut to the head, and you know, he was pulling him apart. But this is what I'm saying, Tyson Ducks needed to sell it better at the end. Well, you know, Zack Sabre picks up the victory, and he rarely got out of first gear. He rarely got out of first gear. I think there might have been a couple of occasions where he, you know, went into second gear, but he has so much more to show, so much more to give. I think that you have to appreciate that he is a favourite. He brings a very different style, and this was a very different week for the Cruiserweight Classic because there wasn't really that high-flying style. We did see some stuff, and we will get to that, but there was no Grand Metalik, as we've already said. You know, there wasn't really like a TJ Perkins, or it was different, very different. So this was technical to start with, and I lapped it up. I loved it. I'm not saying it's the best match of the first round, but I enjoyed it. Simple as that. I enjoyed it. Next up, we had a match which I didn't really enjoy, and that was Harv Sihra from India, one of the Bollywood boys who wrestles with Global Force Wrestling, going up against Drew Gulak from the US, 6 foot tall, 193 pounds. He's quite a big guy. This was back and forth. I thought that Harv looked really good. Nice submission holds from Harv, actually. I think it was like a body scissors, which I thought was really impressive. Gulak just didn't want to impress, and even the commentator said that. He was smash grab, and he was just doing anything and everything that he could. He, like, vicious clotheslines. He picked up Harv and just hurled him onto the top of the ropes. There was a springboard crossbody from Harv, but the Dragon Sleeper basically for the win from Drew. This thing, it just didn't impress me. There was a couple of nice moments in it, but I just think the quality of the Cruiserweight Classic has been so high, it was very easy for this to just get kind of lost in the mix, really. So Drew progresses, and he now faces Zack Sabre Jr. I don't see Zack having too much of a struggle to get past Drew, because Drew seems quite similar to Tyson Ducks, who Zack just defeated. My only concern is that you will see a very similar match to what we saw, and I don't think that's going to allow Zack Sabre to, you know, really show off more of his repertoire, but we'll see. Next up, really good match next. Anthony Bennett against Tony Nese. Anthony Bennett from New Jersey had like a pair of glasses that were flashing, and then he's got like this big afro hair, and that had a pair of glasses as well. And he was up against Tony Nese, who was classed as the premier, or classes himself as the premier athlete. He has rubbish music as well, Tony Nese. It was just some kind of like light metal kind of music, but he needed something like Brock Lesnar. You know, he's I think the biggest guy in this competition. And they really needed to make him feel big, and I would say that's actually a big criticism I've got of the Cruiserweight Classic. I don't think that the entrance musics and the displaying of their flag, the country that they're from, I don't think that's doing enough of a job to get them over. The music's just not, I don't know, like the first time you heard Nakamura's music, you knew it was a winner. You knew that it was something, you know, special. I'm really not hearing anything in these entrances that makes me go, whoa, this guy is, you know. But we'll have to see. I suppose in a way they don't really want to build up, you know, people that potentially aren't going to be sticking around. So I kind of get it. So yeah, fast sequenced by Tony Nese, which was really smart near the start of this. Just a lot of like striking and like holds and whatnot, and it was, as I say, it was quite fast paced. Bennett did a rolling cannonball onto the outside. Nese very strong power slams, big suplexes. He really was knocking Anthony Bennett around. Bennett actually got to the point where the ref had to just check with Bennett to see if he'd hurt his shoulder. It was fine. The ref let the match continue. There was literally one move and then it was done, and that was a 450 splash. I mean, to see Tony Nese, this massive guy that's powerful and quick, hit a 450 splash, just shows you the level of competition in this thing. Anthony Bennett, I thought, looked pretty good. I think that he had a really good gimmick. I could kind of see what he was doing. He was bringing a bit of fun, but you know, he could go in the ring as well. But Tony Nese, I think, is the right person to progress, and I just want them to make him feel bigger. You know, I'm not saying that they are going to change his music, but it would be nice if they would, because I just want that kind of big feel to it. I want him to have that Samoa Joe kind of feel, that boom, boom, boom. You know, that kind of a vibe. And then that brought us to the main event. I've got a whole page of notes on this because this was fascinating. It's really tough because I don't know. I think Zack Sabre might have been my favourite match, but this runs it pretty close. I thought Brian Kendrick was amazing, and amazing for one reason, and that is that he knows exactly throughout this whole thing what is going on and what needs to be done. And what needed to be done was he needed to put over Raul Mendoza, because they knew that Mendoza wasn't going to progress. So Brian Kendrick does everything in his power to make Mendoza look like $1 million. And all I've seen is people going, you've got to sign Raul Mendoza, you've got to sign Raul Mendoza. And I'm not saying that Raul Mendoza didn't do, you know, the work. Of course he did. But you've got to give credit to Brian Kendrick. Amazing submission move. It was a reverse swing into body scissors from Mendoza. It was fantastic. Mendoza, who had like braces, was somehow biting onto the ropes. Kendrick kicked the ropes. He started to get them blood coming out of his mouth, Mendoza did. And again, you know, the referee having to check and make sure that a competitor was all right. This was a much more kind of like hard-hitting week. Springboard missile drop kick into a corkscrew plancher onto the outside. Brian Kendrick went up, Raul kicks, and Brian Kendrick then falls into like a tree of woe. It means that Mendoza goes up onto the other and then does a coast to coast, goes across from the top of the turnbuckle straight away across into the Brian Kendrick. And this is what I'm saying, you know, that some of these sequences were just things we hadn't seen in this tournament so far, and a coast to coast is just something you don't see in wrestling that often. He nailed it. A foot on the ropes from Brian Kendrick, and what was nice was Daniel Bryan was cheering for Kendrick. You know, he was like, this is the guy I want to get through. We wrestled together at the start, and you could tell it meant a lot to Daniel Bryan. He really put this match over. You just cannot praise the commentary enough either. But yeah, Brian Kendrick wins with the bully choke. It was fascinating because all throughout this I thought Mendoza's going to win this. Mendoza looks $1 million. There's no way, you know, that they're not going to put him through. So I was amazed when Brian Kendrick won. I was absolutely amazed. But fair play. They've made Mendoza look at $1 million, and well, you know, unfortunately it moves on without him. They've announced the final matches for this round one, which will come next week, and next week just looks insane. Rich Swann, who I just think is fantastic. He had a fantastic match against Finn Balor on NXT going back a few months ago. He's up against Jason Lee, and I heard Jason Lee has really impressed Triple H. Jason Lee could be on the verge of getting signed, so we're getting Rich Swann against Jason Lee next week. Noam Dar, who is from Scotland, he is somebody that I am very excited to see perform on this stage. I've seen a lot of his kind of footage of him performing in England, but yeah, I can't wait to see him go up against I think it's Guru or Gurv Sihra, the other Bollywood boy. So that should be pretty straightforward for Noam. But yeah, you know, we'll have to see. What that won't be is a flat match, a dud match. Watch out for Noam. Jack Gallagher, the Lost Vaudevillain from England, he is on next week's show, going up against Fabian Aukner. I don't know who that is, so I can't really comment too much on that, but looking forward to the match all the same. And then Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa, the big one. You know, the two NXT stars going head to head for a chance to get through to the next round. So next week, mouth-watering. But yeah, you know, other than Raul Mendoza, there just wasn't really any kind of high-flying stuff this week, and it didn't need it. I can't say it missed it. It was a different flavour, and that's what the Cruiserweight Classic is all about. So, interestingly as well, just watched a video from Comic-Con, and Bill Meccano, I think his name is, or McKenna, he is the head kind of crafter, if you will, of the Mattel figures in the WWE line. He is watching this very closely, and he is saying expect Cruiserweight Classic figures to come, because some of these stars are getting signed. We saw Kota Ibushi on NXT, so I think he's a cert. I think there will be a Mattel Kota Ibushi figure coming. I also think Gran Metalik apparently is signed as well. I'm hearing rumours that Lince Dorado, you know, they're looking at him. Zack Sabre would just be phenomenal. If I could get a Mattel Zack Sabre Jr. figure, I'll cry for a month. So it's a real exciting time, and we move on. But yeah, different flavour. It's hard to say if it was a good week or not. I don't know. I was just really interested in it. It was. I think it was good. I think it was good because I want to watch more. And if it was starting to wane, then I just wouldn't want to. So, but yeah. Very different to what we've seen before. Cool. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Wrestling Days UK. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, it'd be crazy wicked good if you would or could. And hopefully I will see you again next time. Bye for now.